15 most bizarre cargo spills of the decade. An incredible 2,184 cases of Grolsch beer spilled on a highway in Canada in 2015. A woman swerved into the path of a Grolsch beer truck, causing the car to flip and the truck to roll over, and spilt its intoxicating contents. The woman survived the incident thanks to her airbag and seatbelt, and no one else was seriously harmed. A responding policeman described the scene as a sea of beer, and an unusual high amount of volunteers offered their help in disposing of the contents. Chris Farley was a comedic genius known for his physical brand of comedy. One of his finest and funniest moments came in Tommy Boy, when he and David Spade pretended to be attacked by a swarm of bees to avoid being pulled over by the cops. No one had to pretend in Washington State early last year when a semi-truck full of beehives was involved in a multi-car wreck. As police and victims tried to help each other, bees harassed the entire scene. The swarm was so big, it could be seen by choppers flying overhead. Washington State Police say that practically everyone at the scene was stung by the apocalyptic mass. Drivers smelt that something was amiss on Interstate 65 just outside of Nashville, Tennessee in August of 2011. Several worried motorists reported seeing steaming canisters and smelling their contents in the early morning hours. A Greyhound bus had been transporting the 4 vats, and the driver was completely unaware that he had lost his load. The semen was packed in liquid nitrogen and was headed for a breeding farm in Texas. The 4 containers were said to be worth around $80,000. Delaware saw one of the most bizarre semi-truck spills in recent memory this September. A big rig headed for the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia wrecked and spilled its load of blank pennies all over Interstate 95 in Newcastle. Police said that the truck slammed into a barrier around 2 a.m. and caught fire while spilling the currency. The driver suffered minor injuries, and the accident caused huge traffic delays in the area throughout the morning until the debris was finally cleared and the road was reopened. Salad dressing and mayonnaise spilled all over the road in Ontario, Canada, when a truck overturned on a highway off-ramp in July of this year. The mess was a challenge to clean up, and it took crews about 6 hours before the job was finally completed. A giant Penske moving truck overturned on a Florida turnpike, spilling thousands of shoes all over the road. The incident took place around 2 p.m. in early January of this year. The shoes were scattered all over the road as they had strangely not been stored in boxes. No one was fatally injured as a result of the accident, but 2 people had to be carried from the scene on stretchers. In an event that sounds like something out of a commercial, a bread truck and a truck carrying deli meat collided on a highway in New Jersey in June of this year. No injuries were reported at the scene, but thousands of potential sandwiches were lost in the wreck. Hundreds of sandwich-related jokes were also utilized by the media outlets who reported the accident. A big rig transporting hundreds of Miss USA contestants overturned on a highway in Nebraska. No, this really didn't happen, but something almost as bizarre happened in eastern China last year. According to the People's Daily Online, a truck carrying 10,000 baby chickens overturned on a highway. Locals quickly scrambled to the scene and took as many chicks as they possibly could. The load was said to be worth nearly $8,000. Road cleanup crew members have tough, unbelievable jobs. This was never more apparent than it was to a crew in Green Bay, Wisconsin, late last month. A Sanimax truck carrying its load of animal waste spilled its load all over the street in the west side of the city. No one was injured in the accident, which took place in the middle of the day. Sanimax is a company that takes waste from the meat and packing industry and recycles it to be used in cosmetic and food products. Another Sanimax truck was involved in an accident in Wisconsin in April of this year. This time, the cargo was much less disgusting. 4,700 gallons of used vegetable oil spilled all over Highway 51 when a tanker turned over while driving through a roundabout. No injuries occurred, and the driver was cited for driving too fast for the conditions. A milk truck turned over at the exact same roundabout last year. Residents of the northern Irish town of Belfast were scrambling for giant plastic bags after a truck carrying tons of mackerel overturned in early 2015. The lorry lost the fish and did not stop, perhaps not realizing anything had fallen off. Officials warned residents not to eat the fish, but this did not stop many locals from collecting the mackerel in plastic bags and taking them home. Big rig truck driving can be extremely dangerous. Drivers have deadlines to make, which often forces them to drive with little to no sleep. This leads to thousands of accidents involving trucks annually. One of the most memorable to occur this year took place in North Carolina. The driver of the truck fell asleep early in the morning, and his trailer flipped over, spilling 50,000 potatoes all over Interstate 77. With no better alternative, cleanup crews were forced to use snowplows to clean the fallen spuds. While not as comically perfect as a bread and deli meat truck colliding, this incident still is worth its weight in laughs. The two trucks collided on Interstate 95 in Florida in March of this year. Neither driver was hurt in the incident, but no one was ticketed for failure to maintain a single lane. The beer truck was sheared open, and cans of beer and bags of chips covered the highway. A semi-truck headed down the 101 north near Ilwaco, Washington, tipped over and spilled its load of salmon heads and guts all over the highway in October of 2012. The load was headed from a rendering plant to a feline food factory when the trailer lost its balance after a hard curve in the road. Though the highway was forced to close until the sloshy mess was removed, the driver was unharmed and was able to walk away from the incident. A big rig crashed into a road barrier in the Chinese province of Hubei on January 8, 2015, spilling its contents of nearly 10,000 pounds of live fish. The driver had been traveling all day and cited exhaustion as the cause of the accident. Video of the bizarre aftermath was taken and shared all over social media.
And now for number 1. But first, be sure to subscribe for new videos every day.
16 dead bodies were scattered all over the highway in June of 2012 when a pickup truck rolled over on its side in China. These bodies belong to executed criminals and others who were unclaimed by family or friends and were being transported to a medical college to be worked on by students. Prior to the incident, the medical school had been criticized for their undignified treatment of corpses. No kidding, Gene Wilder's Dr. Frankenstein could have done a better job of transporting the cadavers.